Oh, hey, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Depending on which part of this oft beleaguered country that you're in, you're watching Rebel Roundup, a very delayed start to the show, which is my fault. I was in a very, very important meeting on a very important project that you're all going to find out about very, very soon. I'm your host, Sheila Gunn Reid, and I'm joined by not my regular Thursday co-host, but my real life best friend from Regina, Saskatchewan, Lise Merle. Lise, how's it going?
Well, good morning, Sheila Gunn Reid, and it's good to be back early. Yesterday, we misled our viewers saying "see you next Tuesday," but indeed, it is just been 24 hours later. Here we are again. Here we are again. We've got a. It's a pretty somber day in Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan Roughriders play tonight at 7 p.m. And we got a really sort of somber show for everybody.
Yes. I'll tell everybody what we're doing around here, and then we'll get into the news of the day because I'm hoping that I don't need blood products in the very near future. I'm hoping that the person used in the graphic that you are going to see in a bit is like a rare blood type like me and not one of them. They're universal donors. Um, anyway, if you're watching us on Rumble, that's an excellent free speech platform. And again, apologies for the late start. I know many of you are just sitting in the chat like, where's the show? Where's the show? Where's the show? Look, super important. Super like very important. And it's a huge project that you're going to find out about very soon. But if you're watching us on Rumble, excellent free speech platform, you want to support our work, and have your say, you can leave a Rumble rant. That's their paid chat. If it's over the $5 US cutoff, we are hereby reading it on air. If it's under that, we'll do our very best, time permitting. And if time permits for Lise, maybe we'll go a little longer today, like
Mhm.
10, quarter past the hour. If you're watching us on YouTube, same rules apply. Their paid chat is called a super chat. And if you miss the live version of the show, you can leave a paid comment called a super thanks. And we ask you this because we'll never take a penny from the government to do the work that we do around here. And I firmly believe it shows in our independence. All right, let's get into the thing that I alluded off the top of the show. Um, this from CP24. Canadian Blood Services is calling for donors amid serious drop in supply. What does everybody notice?
That's a really interesting. Listen. That's a really interesting choice of client that they would choose to put on their messaging that
Yes.
they're calling on to. You know what? Actually, if you just if you just read it, CTV is saying Canadian Blood Services is calling for donors amid serious drop in supply. Look who we're being forced to take blood from, is what they're
Get out
saying.
there and donate some blood, please, so that we're
And
not scraping the bottom of the barrel
you
to
know,
for blood donors, please. And you know
oh,
what? I shouldn't be so harsh because full credit to this person. This it's an altruistic thing that they're doing, but this is a very interesting choice of graphic from CTV News with the F you very much hat
mhm.
and the poison dart frog people hair and
Yes.
the scary
The name
makeup.
tag. So the name tag says Billy Jolene is what the name tag says. I zoomed in on that name tag they're wearing. It says, "Yeah, hello, my name is Billy Jolene." In
Um,
any case, it's just really interesting. And wouldn't you want to go to the Canadian Blood Services if that's who you were in a chair next to for like upwards of an hour donating plasma? Isn't that
I
like,
am,
isn't that inviting, guys?
and I'm going to be super careful with myself because I don't want to need blood products.
Not
If
anymore suddenly. Like,
no, no, but it's also very interesting that Canadian Blood Services is facing a shortage of supply because, as we know, they have been selling your blood plasma that you donate. They've been selling it for profit to a multinational pharmaceutical company named Grifols, which is based in Barcelona, Spain. And I think I put a clip in the chat, Olivia, from committee. Oh, there's Hetty Fry. You know what? Glad to see she's still alive. Although I'm not looking at this, I'm not really sure. She looks like Tutankhamun's mummy, but she's been around for ages. And the conservatives at committee are wondering why on earth what Canadian Blood Services is selling donated plasma for profit. And then now we find out they've got a shortage. Well, what's that shortage about? So if you donate, everybody runs and donates to Canadian Blood Services. They're just going to sell it for profit and leave the country short. Who
Well,
knows? Let's watch.
yeah, go ahead.
In 2022, Grifols signed an agreement with Canadian Blood Service to collect plasma from blood donations. Has the entire signed agreement ever been made public? Yes or no?
Madam Chair, no.
Given that multiple blood donor deaths have occurred at your facilities, will Grifols commit today to tabling the full contract to this committee for a parliamentary review?
Madam Chair, to repeat what I had said earlier, today there is no correlation between plasma donation and death. The terms of the agreement are under confidentiality terms. I'm afraid I cannot share the details of a confidential agreement.
Well, and that was the question. So that would be a no. So I'll ask the question again for you. So will Grifols, since there's been 2 deaths in these facilities, will Grifols commit today to tabling a full contract to this committee? And I guess your answer is no.
Madam Chair, once again, I repeat, the agreement is under confidentiality terms that we're bound to.
Okay. Ms. Hughes, has the Health Canada suspended your licenses at the Winnipeg facilities where 2 deaths occurred? Yes or no?
Madam Chair, no.
Ms. Hughes, has federal health minister met with Grifols directly to discuss the 2 deaths in your Winnipeg facilities? Yes or no?
Madam Chair, I'm not aware of any meeting.
Has Health Canada been provided the agreement between Grifols and Canadian Blood Services? Yes or no?
Madam Chair, Grifols has not provided that agreement.
She looks like Hank Hill's wife, that hair from King of the Hill.
So this is more than concerning. There should be no secrets between the Canadian public and what's happening to their blood products after. But certainly, I think we can all agree that if domestic supply is needed, there should be an immediate moratorium on sending products internationally. Be damned what the contract says. Be damned what the contract says. This is just more than concerning.
You can donate your blood products to Canadian Blood Services, and then they turn around and sell it to Grifols for profit, and then Grifols sells your blood for profit internationally. And wouldn't you know it, how does it link to Brookfield? How does it link to Brookfield? Bring it up, Olivia. Guess who's trying to take over Grifols?
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. $7 billion. Brookfield is trying to take Grifols over.
So they want to own. They just want to own the blood supply of the world.
Yes.
Excellent to know. Excellent to know. Considering the Prime Minister of the country is walking us into wars and neglecting the Canadian public, letting people die on wait lists. Wild.
Okay, and let's just walk through the flow chart here. So Canadian Blood Services says, we don't have enough blood. Can you donate some? So you do. You donate it. Don't get paid for it. You donate it. Then Canadian Blood Services turns around and sells it to Grifols. And then Grifols turns around and sells it internationally and makes profit. And then the Prime Minister's company, Brookfield, offers to take over Grifols. And that's why you're not going to find out what the contract is between Grifols and Canadian Blood Services, because we don't want to know how much money Mark Carney is making, quite literally. Like, I joke that he looks like a vampire and his wife looks like a vampire's familiar, but they don't want us to know how much money Brookfield is going to make, literally sucking the lifeblood out of Canadians.
This is interesting because I just googled get paid for plasma donation Canada.
Grifols.
It's just reams and reams and reams of information. There's an honorarium. So this is what the Grifols website says. Hold on, I'll send this to you, Olivia, in the chat. This is freaking crazy, you guys. This is crazy. Hold on, I just gotta find I just have to find the chat. Sheila Gunn Reid, just fill in this
I'll just
space.
keep
Well,
talking.
thank you.
I'll just keep talking. And here's the thing, Grifols recognizes that there is financial value in your blood products, which is why you can walk directly into Grifols and after a short screening process sell your blood products to them.
Which is who CTV was showing in their image there, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Because
probably.
if this is a commodity that's just being traded, then it's probably maybe not the most healthy people in the world that need the money. You know what I mean? Look at this. So at Grifols, we want to show you that we appreciate the time of blah, 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 blah. Basically, you can get up to $100 per donation.
And you can donate twice in a week.
Holy Hannah.
So $800 a month you can make selling your blood. In Mark Carney's Canada, where you don't have enough money to eat, and then Grifols, which will potentially be owned by Brookfield, will then make money selling your blood products internationally.
Hideous.
Ooh, yeah.
Hideous.
It's poverty profiteering.
100%. 100%.
Yep.
Huh. Well,
And
Canada.
Yep. It's always how does it link to Brookfield every single time?
Yeah, well, that's concerning because none of us voted for that, did we?
No. Vampires. Literal vampires.
Literally vampires.
And then there's this, like in the realm of parting yourself out like an old Camaro. Not only are people resorting to selling their blood in this country, of course, the vulture maid doctors are floating the idea of retrieving organs from maid patients while they're still alive. We know that maid has become one of the largest sources of organ donation, but primarily they wait till you're dead. Now they're taking them from you in the in-between. So while you are unconscious, but before your death, they're harvesting your organs. And, like maybe we could just better equip the palliative care system to deal with people as they approach the end of their natural life.
Yeah.
But we don't. We take funds from palliative care and direct it into MAID in most provinces.
Yeah, pressuring really vulnerable people to become part of a sort of organ procurement machine is what they do. And how disturbing is that we're placing so little emphasis on the sanctity of life, on the sanctity of natural life and natural death. That we would say, well, it's more convenient if the doctors could just do it all in one swoop. You know what I mean? Like it's actually just horrifying.
Yeah.
The country could do this to so many of its citizens.
And when you're somebody who, and we learned this in our documentary, Made the Dark Side of Canadian Compassion, the number one reason people are choosing euthanasia is not suffering. It's not. There are ways to alleviate suffering if you want. It is a loss of useful purpose. And so when you have someone in despair who no longer feels useful or
when they feel like they're a burden, when they feel like they've become a burden.
And they're unable to contribute to society or their families in the way that they used to, isn't this just a great way to push them down that path? Here's your one way to be useful again.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a decision that you can make that will help everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's disgusting.
It's gross. It's gross. It's gross. And
this should be rejected. It goes without saying that this concept should be rejected at this point. No, any doctor that considers delivering death to a Canadian for the purposes of organ harvesting, like organ procurement, should be immediately immediately kicked off of every professional register they belong to, because they've flagrantly shown that they're not morally capable of making these decisions. Any doctor that would do this is a murderer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A white coat doesn't let you get away with things, morally speaking. But it's interesting to see how in this culture, with the Liberals in charge for the last 11 years,
Yeah.
they've made altruistic things gross. Like they've made blood donation gross. They've made organ donation, which is a good thing.
Sure.
It saves lives, but they managed to make it gross and sinister all of a sudden.
Well, and they've done that across the board. There literally isn't a single sector or industry in this country that hasn't been negatively impacted by the Liberals' bastardization of it.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. Of course, you're right. All of the money should be going into palliative care. We should have the best cared for people, for building the best place on earth. People deserve the very, very best end of life care that they could, that's available to them. And yet we're hustling them off into the afterlife because
Convenience.
they've outlived their usefulness to the state.
Yeah.
It's
To the
sick.
state. Exactly. Okay, let's shift ahead into something the Liberals have also ruined, and that's our relationship with the United States. The U.S. is aiming for interim deals with Canada and Mexico by the end of the year, Trump's top trade official says. Can we bring that up? So, stop there. Can you just Jameson Greer, okay, said he was going to present options for potential interim arrangements to President Donald Trump, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, and Prime Minister Mark Carney before the end of 2026. He says, I would love to have between now and the end of the year at least some arrangements, one with Canada, one with Mexico. And I think will be given these tariffs basically are ultimatums for us to deal with certain things, including supply management and the liquor bans, which don't account.
Yes, go ahead. No, I was just going to say the timing. They're giving us a hint as to how long they would like to drag this out, or would be prepared to drag this out to. It is the end of the year. We're at the midpoint of the year. We could be dealing with another 6 months of tariff and trade drama. If only Canada could get its pants on and hammer out a deal, we wouldn't have to be talking about this every day.
Yes.
Instead of Canada hemorrhaging jobs and hemorrhaging opportunity to work with our closest neighbors, we could be doing a lot better than we are right now. But that's what I just read. Listen, they can outweigh us. The United States can outweigh us. So they're gonna.
I think we reacted to this clip yesterday from Doug Ford saying sometimes he feels like he's standing alone protecting Canada.
It's worse. Like he said some other worse stuff in the interim.
Let's just show that, because I want to dig up a fact sheet to show you what he wants us to do. So let's watch that while I just go poking around.
Because the U.S. has told us what they're worried about. It's energy, it's potash, it's critical minerals, right? And, if the Western premiers and others can't get on board with that, how do you leverage it?
Well, that's the problem. We need a Team Canada approach led by the Prime Minister. And if he doesn't want to lead it with the other premiers, then I can't do it alone. I feel some days that I'm standing alone protecting Canada, and I need everyone else to get on side. So
you said that yesterday too. What do you mean by that? What is it?
Well, I think everyone should be out there being a little more vocal, right? Trump looks at any weakness whatsoever, and if he looks at premiers agreeing or disagreeing, he looks at the Prime Minister not being as tough as he thought he might be, and I'm not saying he is or he isn't. I just want to see a plan from him, and we look forward to hearing from him tonight and tomorrow.
Because the U.S. has told.
So he wants the premiers who are more pragmatic and reasonable
and diplomatic
to be more like
and
him.
successful. Yes. Hey, you guys that are winning this. Hey, you successful Western premiers that are winning this. If you could stop winning so hard and start talking like me and shooting your mouth off, I would feel a lot better. Doug Ford has created a reality for himself where he has no friends. Do you hear him? He has no friends. I'm standing alone. Doug, you chose to die on this hill and you're dying on it by yourself. What we need is adults in the room and to stop the drama. We just need to stop the drama. I'm here to call on Premier Scott Moe with his humongous man hands to clap one of them over Doug's mouth if ever he sees Doug in front of a lectern. Okay, that's where I'm at. But Dave, and as an aside, David Cochrane, keep my potash out your mouth. Okay, don't you dare bring up potash to Doug Ford, who doesn't sell potash. That's specifically in the purview of Saskatchewan, and I'll thank you not to go to Doug Ford for advice on our natural resources. Thank you so much.
There's an infographic from Trevor Tombe. I don't know how to say his name. Also, like usual, don't care. But he's an economist with the University of Calgary, and he shows what the exposure is for the provinces from these 50% tariffs. So you'll notice something here. The people who are most vocal are getting hammered worse.
Smacked with tariffs, aren't you, buddies? Doug Ford with your auto sector and your Quebec with your, maple
dairy
syrup. Yeah, and dairy maple syrup and dairy cartels.
Yeah,
British Columbia. David
Softwood.
You out there calling?
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. David Eby shooting his mouth off about Trump being a bully or about Americans being bullies, 13.7%. How you like them apples? How you like them apples? You should have taken our advice 6 months ago and when we told you to shut up then, okay? This is the natural consequence, not about not listening to common sense people.
Right. So you can see it. Softwood, automobiles, and dairy. Doot, doot, doot. And in the middle, the two provinces who decided to say, there's no reason to fight.
Yep.
Let's just take the temperature down and get a deal. And what happened? What happened?
That's a great little graphic for those premiers who are fighty and bloviating and grandstanding. You're not gonna out grandstand the United States. You're just not. So make better decisions. Stop being losers.
Right. But Doug Ford, he's going to try because now he compares Donald Trump to a rabid dog. This ain't going to end well.
Hard to deal with President Trump when he changes his mind every single day. One day the Prime Minister is with him side by side, and next thing you know, President Trump turns on him like a rabid dog.
Do you have any plans to go down to D.C.?
Not in the near future, but just have to keep the message going. We have to stay united. We're a strong country. We're a sovereign country, and we need to fight tooth and nail.
I actually can't wait for this to come back directly on Doug Ford. I actually can't.
My problem with that is, while I have the sour joy, the Schadenfreude, if you will, for Doug Ford, decent people in the auto sector, and I'm not talking about the union brass, but regular people who work in the auto sector and manufacturing are just going to get destroyed over this. And we know that Windsor went blue. So the auto sector workers, the people who live in these communities, don't see the NDP or the Mark Carney Liberals as parties that help them. They've turned conservative, which it took them a little longer than the trades unions out here in Alberta to come to those conclusions, but they got there. And they're going to get absolutely destroyed by Doug Ford's constant invective directed at the Trump administration. It's not helpful, and it's going to nuke 10% of his economy.
Yeah, and if he's upset about Donald Trump and Mark Carney spending time together at FIFA World Cup, okay, they were in the same luxury skybox. If Donald Trump spent time with Mark Carney and then turned around and made Mark Carney's life hell, Well, then I guess that means that Donald Trump wasn't that impressed, was he? At FIFA, like maybe Mark Carney should spend less time on the celebrity sports circuit and be spending more time fixing our economy that he has in the toilet. Maybe that.
Right. And I like how they're like, why would we go to DC? I don't know, to fix
Do you,
this.
do you know how far that is for us?
It's like an hour on a plane.
I know, but they act as if it is just this humongous imposition on them. Don't the Americans know that they're trying to enjoy their summer?
Right.
North, in Ontario's Lake Country, don't they know that? It's like these idiots don't know that there's a timeline on this, and every time they blow another one, it puts the Canadian economy back further.
I have a longer drive to get coffee cream when I run out than these people have to spend on a flight
Going
to
to
go sort this out. Like
in
I've got
Washington, D.C.
20 minutes in, 20 minutes back out to Fort Saskatchewan. It's like a 1 hour flight.
Well,
to
couldn't
get
they
to
take that new
DC.
bridge? Couldn't they take that new bridge that they
Right,
just
the Gordie Howe.
negotiated? Does anybody know the directions? Like, type in the White House
Right.
into Google Maps. It'll get you there. Like, there
Yeah.
are ways.
Do you know what I
But,
wonder if
Canada's
the
not
Trump
interested in Canada.
administration doesn't even want to meet with them? Like,
Well, would you?
no.
Listen, when they do meet with them, when the Trump administration does meet with Team Carney, like say at FIFA, we get punished. So I just
Right.
say that maybe the government of Canada should not participate in this anymore.
Right.
In the social media, social sports grandstanding. It's not working.
Take Scott Moe's advice and just try not to win a social media war or a talking points war. And fix this because you care about the people who live in your province and their jobs.
Like that. Like a grown-up.
Like a grown-up.
Take a Scott Moe approach, guys.
Right. Premier Smith was asked what she's expecting Prime Minister Mark Carney to do in response to Trump's latest tariff on Canada.
Yeah.
So let's see. I guess she puts the onus on Carney to figure this out. Olivia, are you there?
Oh, okay.
It's loading weird.
Please hold.
Please hold. Your call is important to us.
Hear more from the Prime Minister face to face. What assurances are you looking for about his strategy over the next 28 days?
Well, I can tell you, much like Premier Lance, I think Alberta has not been as exposed to some of the tariffs. 97% of our goods cross the border tariff-free. And even with this latest round, it's about 1% of our overall product that is going to be impacted. And so our approach has been one to say that tariffs don't help anyone. Tariffs hurt Canadian consumers, they hurt American consumers, whether we apply them or they apply them. And although we're at 97% tariff-free, we'd like it to be 100%, and we'd like every other province to be at 100% tariff-free as well. So I think this is a window, this month that we have, or 28 days, to sharpen the pencils and sharpen the focus. And I hope that we can get all of the outstanding issues on the table, whether it's autos or steel, softwood, aluminum, and some of the new issues that have been put on the table so that we can get to a comprehensive agreement. I remain as bullish and maybe hopefully more optimistic as Premier Moe that we can actually get a deal before the month is up. I hope it doesn't drag on into 2027, but I think that the Prime Minister has heard from us that we would we want to make sure that we get a good deal that is comprehensive and covers all of those outstanding issues, and I think that I hope that that's what he's working towards.
That was a shot at her fellow premiers
when
she says tariffs hurt everybody. It hurts Americans and hurts Canadians, no matter where those tariffs are coming from. And that's you, Doug. That's you, Wob Canoe. Well, that's you, David Eby.
She made a specific point of pointing out all of their resources that are getting hard tariffed: the softwood lumber, the aluminum, the auto sector. She mentioned those all by name, and she should, and she absolutely should. She didn't sound good there, though. It sounded to me like she needed a honey tea, and that she's maybe not feeling the best. But there she is, showing up, putting pressure on the federal government to prioritize that resource development and a good deal across the board for all of us.
Who's this from? I know that there's reporting. Where is it from? Mickey Jurgic, I think is how you say it, from Politico. Again, of course, we got to find out about this stuff from the Americans, but she reports behind the new public Team Canada messaging, premiers are being increasingly left in the dark on U.S. trade talks. Provincial officials tell me Mark Carney's briefings on negotiations have waned. So he's basically just, this Team Canada approach doesn't actually include Canadian premiers. A sharp shift from the collaborative approach premiers praised early on. Well, did you learn something, premiers? So the reporting goes, behind closed doors, a perceived lack of transparency with Canada's premiers has popped up in private meetings where one provincial official says Carney was reminded that if he doesn't keep premiers engaged on trade, then premiers will make a role for themselves. That is, act unilaterally. I believe we're doing that over here anyway. In June, Carney promised premiers that either he, Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc, Justin Trudeau's literal and figurative babysitter, or Canada's chief trade negotiator Janice Charette would brief premiers regularly on any updates. That promise was not fulfilled, officials said. Premiers found out about Trump's threat to hit Canadian goods with 50% tariffs during a dinner when news alerts went off on their phone. One official told Playbook that Carney had been briefed earlier Monday before the premiers found out. He let them get blindsided by this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Premiers nodded to the lack of communication in a communique yesterday, saying premiers urge Carney's government to maintain clear, timely consultation process with your provinces and territories during negotiations. Well, but isn't it just the Liberal way, though, to overpromise what they're under-deliver, okay, overpromise, under-deliver, and then default to a top-down style management going, well, you don't have to know about this. This isn't important. This is just ancillary. You don't need to know about this. This shows why it's so important for provinces to have their own autonomy, especially with their trade partners in the United States and in other countries, because this government has shown itself to be wholly untrustworthy and wholly unreliable as it pertains to basic relationship management with the people next door. This all comes down to human relationships and the relationships that you forge over years. And having people on board from the West, especially within the government of Saskatchewan and the government of Alberta, it would be a huge boost to the government of Canada. And yet we're being iced out of the conversation entirely. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Well, and this is pretty rich from the everybody get on board. It's a Team Canada approach.
Unite.
And then you're just in the minivan with the rest of the premiers and you don't know where you're going because Mark Carney's driving.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Doug, call your boss. Doug Ford, talk to your buddy, Mark Carney, over cherry cheesecake at the cabin.
At the cottage, the chateau.
One more clip from the premier, then we'll take a quick ad break. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith and Quebec's premier were asked whether their province's independence movements have raised as a liability with other provincial leaders during heightened economic tension with the U.S. What a stupid question.
Premier.
Sorry.
Alberta and Quebec's premiers. Have your fellow premiers during your meetings this week expressed any concern with you about how rising separatist sentiments in your respective provinces could compromise the push towards national unity?
No, I didn't hear any comments on that topic.
Good.
Premier Smith?
Yeah, no, it didn't come up.
You know what?
Dumb question, but good, because they should mind their own effing business.
Yes, you're right. But I do love the two women at that table. The two women at that table got to field that question. It's like, nope, not a problem here. Not a problem around these parts. It positions them at that table as two women to watch. And I love that. I love that for us.
Well, and what possible liability could independence in Alberta, allowing people to have a vote on October 20th or 19th,
You know,
20th
yes.
October. What could it have to do with the trade talks? Like, what possibly could it factor in? It doesn't.
It doesn't. No, it sure doesn't. And a more, a more accurate question would have been, have any other premiers told you that they're jealous of your separatist movements? Because that is a negotiating tool with the federal government. Listen, when you got two provinces that are saying we want to leave because you're that bad, because Ottawa is that bad. That's a compliment to those women, and that's a compliment to those provinces.
Well, and look at the culture around the question. So you've got two provinces, two different separatist movements.
Yeah.
One is anti-Canada and explicitly anti-American. And the other is we don't see our culture reflected in the rest of Canada. And we feel like we're more closely culturally. I'm not saying independence-minded people want to be Americans, but we feel more closely culturally to our neighbors to the south than we do to the east and the west of us, with the exclusion of Saskatchewan. And one province is doing very well when it comes to the tariffs, and the other one is getting hammered. So wonder why.
It's a mystery. If only they could put together the puzzle.
Hope they figure it out.
Hope so.
All right, let's do an ad break. We'll come back on the other side because Mark Carney says that, clean energy is very important. Although we went through the Fraser Institute report yesterday that says, no, not really. No. No, don't care. Let's do an ad break. We'll come back on the other side.
Canada's been told to just quit smoking for decades, same message over and over, and yet millions of Canadians still smoke. So let's ask a follow-up question. For those who don't quit, what about change? In 2026, Canada has options that didn't exist years ago. Smoke-free alternatives for adults who would otherwise continue smoking. That doesn't mean risk-free, it means informed choice. If you don't smoke, don't start. If you smoke, quit. But for those who don't quit, change could still be part of the conversation. That's why Canadians should check out unsmoke.ca, an information resource focused on smoke-free alternatives and honest facts, not judgment. Put the lighter down, Canada. Learn what your options are.
In Canada, firearms owners like me understand the importance of safe, effective self-defense options. That's why we're proud to have Byrna as a sponsor. Byrna's less lethal launchers are designed to help protect you and your family without taking a life. Byrna offers peace of mind, accessibility, and a practical layer of personal security for Canadians who value safety. Learn more at byrna.ca/rebel. That's byrna.ca/rebel.
Canadians know the national anthem. They stand in silence to remember those who died for this country. But not every Canadian knows their rights and freedoms. The Freedom Passport will change that. It looks and feels like a Canadian passport, but contains the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms in a portable, easy-to-read format. The Freedom Passport. Order one for yourself and for all the freedom lovers that you love at freedompassport.ca.
For generations, many Canadians have preserved more than just firearms. They've preserved history, tradition, competition, memories. But under Trudeau, and now Carney, heirlooms, estates, collectibles, and competition firearms now have to be surrendered and destroyed. While violent gun criminals get pass after pass, openly ignoring any legislation, lawful gun owners are trapped in an increasingly unfair legal system. But we can help. Canada's National Firearms Association's Save Firearms program offers the legal pathway to preserve what matters, while we work towards a political solution. Don't let yours be next. Save history, save heritage, save firearms. Visit nfa.ca today to learn more.
All right, we're back. I'm just adding things to the list, Olivia, that we could talk about because why not? Let's first go to this video of Mark Carney. So as you know, yesterday, if you watched the show, we looked at a Fraser Institute report that showed that after 30 years and a gazillion regulations and electric vehicle mandates and electric vehicle subsidies, and then green subsidies to green companies and green wind and phasing out coal and all that stuff, the impact on our consumption of fossil fuels has only taken a hit by half a percentage point.
Right.
That's
Not
it.
even 1%.
Yeah, not even 1%. So think of all the money that we have wasted in this wild pursuit. And yet,
sure.
Here comes Mr. Green Values, Prime Minister, to tell us that it's more diverse and our energy makeup is great and green, green, green. And if you don't like it, then you're a hater.
Clean power opens up opens up economic development in a vast part of British Columbia, but also creates the ability to have these interties with Alberta and Premier Dixon with Yukon to provide clean power there.
What?
So we'll discuss ways to move forward on electricity today, as well as possibility of building out and expanding carbon market across the country. So I'll finish by just observing that we face, in some respects, many similar challenges to the fathers of Confederation 162 years ago, but we have many more advantages. It starts with being more diverse, better representation.
What?
We're more prosperous, more focused.
Wow, we aren't.
And we have,
No, we're not.
and the core lesson of history is that when Team Canada is united, there is nothing that we can't do.
Okay, but we're not united on a green energy plan going forward. We're not united on that. And anytime he talks about us being diverse, that's just global elitist rhetoric, manufactured DEI communist garbage. And he's saying we're better off with that than we were at the beginning of this? Are you sir? Are you insane? Also, he needs a haircut real bad. Okay, he's been he's starting to look a little scraggly if you ask me. But no, chasing these net zero fantasies have made things exponentially more expensive for working families in Canada. And yet Mr. Economy, Mr. Economic Expert, can't put these two things together. That it's just, we're on a wild goose chase, that all of our money is getting siphoned off, but to his friends, so he pretends not to notice.
Right. Like his friends in the carbon credit scheme,
That's right,
where you trade invisible gases for cash.
Yes.
What?
Just like that.
I understand that like I understand Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Although I think, like, based on the state of his hair, and look, I'm a woman with difficult hair, so take this with a heaping tablespoon of salt. But I believe that our prime ministers start to look like disheveled university prime ministers in their waning stages of their prime ministership.
Well, it looks like it's hitting him pretty hard. I mean, he's looking pretty tired and pretty disheveled there. While trying
Justin
to compel
Trudeau
us.
did.
Yes. Oh, did he ever?
He looked like
Did
he was sleeping in the
ever?
family Volvo there for a while.
Because he probably was.
Yeah. Then the divorce was announced. Yeah, he was. Yeah. The fathers of Confederation, give me a
We're
break.
better off because we're more diverse. Like, take me back, actually. Build me a time machine and take me back to the fathers of Confederation time. I want out of this timeline. Thank you.
We would not have been able to build the railroad that united this country if the likes of Mark Carney were involved.
Do you know, Sheila Gunn, Reid, this just reminds me of something. My hometown of Pence, Saskatchewan. It was named after a newspaper man in Kingston, Ontario, the editor of the Kingston Whig, okay? And they traveled on the train track, on that CP train track to Pence, Saskatchewan, where all of the ladies got out and drove the spikes into the railroad. All of the ladies of the party did that, and I thought that was really cute about Pence, Saskatchewan. So thank you for indulging me. Thank you.
No, now you must indulge me. If you're ever wondering how places on the prairies got named, many of the places on the prairies were nothing more than railroad stops.
We were a rail town, yes.
And they weren't really even towns. The towns grew around the railway stop because that was where you picked up your stuff and you needed a store there and then you needed a post office. Then all of a sudden it's a town. And so you can follow the rail line and you can pick the next letter of the alphabet for the town. So because they were like, okay, we need a railway stop, and they were just naming them A, B, C, D. And they would just name them after a place wherever, largely in Scotland or wherever the people who were working on the railway were from. So if you, for example, if you go from Ardross in Alberta, the next stop on the railway track would have been Bremner, which was a town, then it isn't a town, and now it's a subdivision. And then the next stop would be Clover Bar, which is now just a road through Sherwood Park. And then I forget the next stop, Delton, I think it is. It's in Edmonton now, but that's how many prairie towns were named. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk about useless Alberta information.
This is how the prairies were developed, and this is how they were populated, and it's what created this great place we live in. So we love talking about it.
So that's why you'll have prairie towns with similar, like named after towns in Scotland, because many of the railway workers were from there, and they're like, okay, we need a town with an A. Okay, there's one. I'm from Ardross in Scotland. Okay, then this is Ardross in Alberta. Next. That's how it went.
Yep. And nobody knows what happened for Climax, Saskatchewan. Okay.
I do. Just being a weirdo. I guess I'm the David Menzies on this episode of Rebel Roundup. Okay. Let's stay in the lighthearted realm for a second before we get to something more difficult. Out of Saanich, BC.
British Columbia.
Should trees have rights? A BC municipality is debating the idea. So a Saanich, BC councillor put forward a motion this week for the municipality to implement the Universal Declaration of the Rights of the Tree.
Oh my God.
Its three main core articles state that trees are living beings and a common human good, that life on earth depends on their existence, and that humans must act in, quote, fraternity. The trees are our brothers. That's the root of that. And in solidarity with the tree. It recognizes that trees must be considered subjects of law when council makes development and zoning decisions. A small town west of Montreal adopted the motion in June, officially recognizing trees as living beings with rights of their own. Saanich councillor Natalie Chambers put forward the motion. Remember that name because she'll be an NDP candidate soon enough, which was voted down. But they voted it down, thank God. But she is pledging to raise it again if she is reelected this fall. Think of the implications in like zoning and stuff, or
this would make
pruning the bushes.
This would make development, and this is the intent.
The point,
of this.
Right?
Of course, it is to hinder development, because as long as there is a living being there, you can't disturb it. This is absolute crazy left-wing lunacy that's just running free in the wilds. Like they're doing this in public. My God.
I would bet you $100, 100 Rebel bucks, that Ms. Natalie Chambers is pro-choice.
I bet she marches in parades. I bet she does.
I bet you she does. I bet you
does she
that
have multiple colored hair? Does she have a trans-identifying kid? What's happening here? We need to dig in.
I bet you that she would not treat unborn human babies
with as much respect as she has for the trees.
Yes.
Yeah. What is, oh my. Oh my.
They yes, we've got.
Oh, she is a thunderous kind of a bird sanctuary, 2 orchards. Oh my goodness, a restoration ecologist. Oh, a published wildlife conservation fundraiser. Okay, well this is okay. Well,
yeah, and she mid-size
protection of the Saanich Greenbelt. She helps raise $10 million towards the greening of Saanich. No, this is just this is an anti-development campaigner. Yeah. Is what I see here.
In the sacred lands on the Lekwungen / was Saanich territory. I don't know how you say that. W with a line underneath. I have no idea, but at least there are no sevens wearing hats, which I have no idea how to pronounce. I don't think they do either. Okay, so that's on the ridiculous. Let's go to this story of the Toronto pro-Palestinian protester. That's one way of describing him. Arrested with terrorism over alleged Hamas links. This is from Global News. Ahmad Hassan Hajamad, Hajamad, 33, was arrested following a joint investigation by the Toronto Police Hate Crime Unit and the RCMP National Security Team. He appeared in court on Tuesday. Using a microphone, Hajamad made public statements that advocated for harms against members of the Israeli and Jewish communities. They seized multiple electronic devices. The allegation is that the accused acted for the benefit of an association with Hamas, a designated terror group. But his lawyer, Mohammed El-Rashidi, said his client had no connection with Hamas or any other foreign group.
Well,
anyways.
How come he got arrested then, sir?
Yeah.
By the anti-terrorism people. Like, why did that happen then?
And here's the thing. As Leviathan has pointed out, and if you don't follow Leviathan on X, you should, because
it's so good.
Do a great job of documenting this stuff. They post, hey, CTV News and CP24, how do you feel knowing you platformed an individual who is participating in activities on behalf of Hamas, a foreign designated terrorist group, without asking him, given his obvious extensive digital footprint showing such? So he was treated as a reasonable, thoughtful human being by CP24 and CTV News.
Amazing, but good for Leviathan for sort of rooting this out and pointing it out.
I don't even know how he does it.
Well, foreign terrorist influence in Canada is not welcome, and that he notified them of their gross error. But this is what platforming these protesters does do, is it opens the door for extremism to seep into Canada.
And I know that Alexa.
Go ahead, babe.
No, I was just going to say, I know Alexa and Scarlett are both working on bigger stories. Alexa has been on this story of this guy for a long time.
Really?
And so she's got a lot more to say.
Can't wait. Can't wait to hear, guys.
And on that topic, Canadian anti-Semitism crisis, Jews were targeted in 71% of religious hate crimes, according to StatsCan. Jews were targeted in 788 of Canada's 1,115 religiously motivated hate crimes last year, 71%, even as the national total of religious hate crimes fell, because you have to realize the church burnings have not stopped,
tapered off,
but
I'd say.
tapered off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hate motivated crimes based on religion fell 18%, but the majority remain targeted at Jews. And yet, from the left, they literally won't shut up about Islamophobia.
Well, and we see that with what's happening in Regina and the Regina Mosque call to prayer. By the way, shouts to Ezra Levant for holding the feet of the fire to Regina Police Service and getting them to unblock him. But we're gonna look more into this. But this story shows the really dangerous consequences of our lax immigration system, about bringing an entire millions of unvetted people into the country, and a tolerance, like a real an obvious and public tolerance for this kind of extremism. Like that's what it shows.
Yeah.
And now and the rest of the person who was touting Hamas in Toronto, it's like, well, that's one of thousands. Yeah.
Like Montreal, I would suggest, is worse than Toronto for this sort of stuff.
It's intense watching Alexa's stuff.
Yeah. And frankly, given the free reign these people have had on the streets of Canada, that number actually targeting Jews seems low.
Could be.
This story from the Ottawa Sun, I wrote this up for my Justice Watch project this morning, somewhere between 5:45 and 6 a.m., from Michelle Mandel, who's been on, like, it feels like she's been a journalist forever, like just forever covering courts. Appeals court sentences Ontario rapist to prison, but it won't send him there. Think about this. And the Ontario court wants to send Tamara Leach to prison, or at least the Crown does. They want to sentence her to prison. So he was a mentor to this young lady. Yasser Qureshi was convicted of sexually assaulting a university student and threatening to send sex videos to her family in Iran. So blackmail.
Sheila, not just blackmail. That would be something that would be life-threatening for her, that if that got released there, like without question. What an absolute piece of garbage. And the crazy thing is there was a victim in this, a young university girl victim, female victim, and she deserves real justice. She deserves real justice. And what does the Canadian justice system do? Let this guy just nothing, just a little slap on the wrist and away you go. It's sick.
Well, and I don't know how the Court of Appeal justifies this. So the Court of Appeal ruled that he got 20 months conditional for this. So served in the community for sexually assaulting this girl and then sexually blackmailing her. The court ruled that the sentence was demonstrably unfit for such a serious offense, but they didn't want to send him to prison now that he's completed his conditional sentence.
Oh, and it says it would merely serve to disrupt his employment and housing and hinder his rehabilitation. Don't care. We don't care. You know where he should be rehabilitated? In prison. In prison. Conservatives have been warning against these sort of lax catch and release programs and the effect they have on public safety in Canada. And do you feel safer, Canadian public, knowing that this guy that sexually assaulted a young woman in university is just out on the streets? Do you feel safer sending your girls out there?
So after coming to Iran in hopes of attending Laurentian University, the complainant was connected to Qureshi, a Laurentian postgraduate student and Iranian national. Okay, time to go home. Get out.
Well, and this harkens back to the Iranian report I did in Saskatchewan. The Iranians in Saskatchewan that I met said that immigration fraud is happening through universities, through academia. This is how the bad guys are getting in the door. So here we have a perfect example of a bad guy getting in the door, doing bad things, and then not being expelled from the country.
They said he became a mentor to her and advised her to come to Sudbury for mentor is an interesting way of saying groomer, and advised her to come to Sudbury for a few days to check out the university. On her last night there, she said he forced her into sexual intercourse and videotaped the encounter, of course, for blackmail.
Oh my God.
In March 2020, Qureshi introduced her to a suitor identified only as SM, but continued to demand sex from her under threat that he'd divulge the sex tape he recorded in Sudbury. When she tried to leave the room, she said he hit her hand and on another occasion slapped her during sex. He threatened to crush the victim and the suitor. And he got conditional sentence for this.
He's just in the community. Doesn't that make you feel better? That make you feel safe, Canada?
Sick.
Unreal.
Okay, let's end on a happy note. This is cringe for the driver, but it's a delight for all of us watching. So this is Nigel Farage.
Okay.
So
Nigel Farage is go ahead, Sheila Gunn, the leader
of the Reform UK.
That's what it's called.
Reform UK.
Okay.
Yeah. So he is conservative to the right of the conservatives in the UK. I don't know how you can know who Nigel Farage is, but somebody, some lady stopped in her car, shouted abuse at him,
and then
in her getaway, crashed her own car.
Well, just send a couple of people over.
She won't be doing that again in a hurry.
Well, just send a couple of people over.
She won't be doing that again in a hurry.
Very funny.
That.
Sad for the person she rear-ended. Like, sorry that their day was ruined, but
right. But all in all, a great lesson. Like,
what did you learn?
Karma comes at you fast sometimes, guys. And so maybe if she would have minded her own business, not yelled an insult, and just continued down the road, nothing bad would have happened. I feel like this happens to the internet warriors a lot too. Like, I feel like they come with a drive-by comment and then something bad happens. I'm like, well, karma, there it is.
Yep.
There it is.
What did you learn?
Congrats to that lady.
Yeah. You're internet famous, lady.
Well, tell me, madam, what caused the accident? Well, I was screaming derogatory names at a person I don't like.
A person I don't know, but also don't like.
Right. I just wanted to drive by, insult somebody, and this was the predictable response.
Distracted driving, distracted by her own lunacy.
Vitriol.
Yeah. I wonder, she was probably recording herself yelling at him.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, could be. Sure.
She was making a TikTok.
A little one-upmanship. I'm just going to show all my friends so I tell them off. And then just didn't see the red light in front of her. Just awesome.
Beautiful.
Couldn't happen to a nicer lady.
Yeah. We got one chat just in now. Kyle J.E. For my fellow Albertans, if you're going to be out of the province during the early voting or October 19th, you can request a special ballot from the Elections Alberta website. Please get out and get your vote in.
Yeah, or your voice be heard. We'll fill in the blank for you, Kyle. Thanks so much for that. Really appreciate it.
All right. I think that's the show for today. Lise, thanks for jumping in today on short notice to fill in for Tamara.
I'm so happy to do it. I just hope that she's getting up to all sorts of good things today.
Yeah, me too.
And I guess I'll see. Now I mean it when I say it. I'll see you next Tuesday.
I will see you next Tuesday.
We will see you guys next Tuesday.
I think this show is David and Drea tomorrow.
Oh, fun.
Yes, fun show. Thanks again, Lise, as I said, and thanks to everybody who works behind the scenes at Rebel News to put the show together and make sure it's there for you when you want to see it. Thanks to those of you who donate, who interact with our work. It really does help. Every little bit helps. We thank you so much. I guess I'll see you back here next Monday. But that doesn't mean I got a day off. It just means I'm busy with other things. And as we frequently say on the show here, if you find us offensive, maybe don't find us at all.
Say, folks, I have an announcement to make. For years now, Rebel News has been taking supporters out to sea on our annual cruise. I am officially joining the News Cruise, November 28th to December 5th, 2026. Here's the big picture. This year, Rebel News is teaming up with our friends at Juno News for the very first time, making the News Cruise a true joint venture between two of Canada's most watched independent newsrooms. And the lineup sailing with me, you ask? Well, the big boss man Ezra Levant, he'll be there, of course, the man who has never once in his life been at a loss for words, which should make for excellent dinner conversation, or at least a very long conversation. Cian Bexley will be joining us too. Younger than me, of course, better hair than me, and knowingly good at his job. You'll want to sit across from Cian at dinner. And John Carpay, the brilliant constitutional lawyer from the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, he will also be on board, which means if the captain tries to infringe on anyone's rights, we've got legal counsel on the Lido deck. We board Holland America Line's gorgeous MS Eurodam in Fort Lauderdale, Florida on Saturday, November 28th, and we don't come back until Saturday, December 5th, 7 full nights in the Eastern Caribbean. And there will be private receptions and candid, off-the-record conversations, the kind you will never see on any screen. And each evening at dinner, we will be rotating seats. So over the course of the week, you will sit across the table from all of us, not watching from a distance, not through a camera, across the table. Cabins are limited, and I cannot stress this enough. Every single cruise Rebel News has ever run has sold out. This year, with Juno News joining forces, demand is going to be even higher. So if you are on the fence, get off that fence and get on the boat. Visit thenewscruise.com to explore cabins and pricing. Please come join us. You just can't lose when you do the cruise.